Well, good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for joining us for our Lunch and Learn session today. We have Nancy Lavery, a Tairox expert at our call today, and she's a guest speaker. Nancy, thank you so much for joining us. And Nancy will be giving us a brief overview of the Tairox productivity tools in the AR, AP, and GL modules of Sage 300, and if time permits, the user management tool. We will have the lines muted during the call, and then at the end we'll have a time for Q&A. And so with that, Nancy, I'm going to turn it over to you. Thank you so much for doing the presentation for us today.
Thanks very much, Melanie, and thank you everyone for joining us today. So as Melanie mentioned, we're going to be doing an overview of the Tairox productivity tools. This is a suite of products that combine a number of small tools that will help you to increase your productivity. There is a toolkit for each of the Sage 300 modules: accounts payable, accounts receivable, general ledger, inventory control, order entry, and the purchase order module. And I'll highlight a multi-company toolkit as well today. We thought we would split it up though and just focus on the AP, AR, and GL for today. And we'll schedule another session to go over the order entry, purchase order, and inventory control tools. But just so you know, those tools are out there, and if you're interested in those, then you can contact the folks at Frontline Systems to get additional information. So with the productivity tools, we've created a number of tools to help you to increase your productivity. So within the accounts payable toolkit, we've got a couple of extended tools. With these extended tools, what we're doing is we're giving you the ability to copy information. So with the extended vendors, it means that you can create a new vendor and you can copy that vendor, whether that's across to another company, or maybe you want to copy that vendor and just make a few alterations to the information. But in addition to that copy capability, we've added a number of what we call smart finders. So the first one is around the vendor number field. We're giving you Google search type capability where you can just put in a few different characters, click the Find button, and not only is it going to look at the name for those characters, but it will also look at the address and in some cases even the remit to location. So I've just typed in the letters SEA, and I'm getting a number of results. I'm getting this Metrologic Research Lab based on the name, but I'm also getting some based on a location of being Seattle. So a number of different ways for you to be able to search for your vendors. Once I open up a vendor, I'm getting a box around my address field because we've given you Google Maps capability. So you can just click on that box and you'll be able to see the Google Maps relating to that particular vendor. We've also given you the ability to quickly send an email. So as long as there's an email address in the email field, you can just click on the box and it'll start up an email for you. And we've also given you the ability to go out to a website. So you can just click on the box and it'll take you out to a website. So a number of added little features there. We've also given you the ability to store multiple contacts. So, you know, if you're familiar with the standard accounts payable vendor screen, you can only store 2 contacts. So we've given you the ability here to store unlimited contacts in an entry grid, and you can put in the phone, email address, and so on, and you can launch an email from this screen as well. And then at the beginning I mentioned the copy capability. So you can just click on the copy vendor. You can select vendors individually or by a range, and you can load the information into a screen. And then with this include column, you can say yes or no. So you can actually pick and choose which vendors you'd like to copy. So I'll say select none and just choose one here. And then when I click the copy button, it gives me the ability to insert a new record or update an existing record, or do both. Look to insert new records and update existing records. And I mentioned you could do this within one company, but if you're running multiple Sage 300 companies, you could easily copy across to other companies. So that is the extended vendor tool. We've also given the extended remit to locations. So again, the ability for you to copy, but we've added that Google search capability here as well, so that you can easily search. So that's really the only feature we've added to the remit to locations, is that Google search capability. The vendor inquiry screen, what we've done here, if you're familiar with accounts receivable customer inquiry, it's a screen that compiles a number of pieces of information that relate specifically to a customer. So we've given you that same capability now with the vendors. So again, every time you see a box around a field label like this, it's that search capability, that Google search capability. But with the vendor inquiry screen, you can see how many tabs there are here with all of the information that you could ever want relating to a vendor. So you're seeing, the profile and address, but you're also able to see things like receipts or invoices. So basically any piece of information relating to a vendor you can see here. And then any of these column headers where you see an arrow, it means that you have drill down capability. So you can drill down into the underlying transaction to see the details there. So all the information relating to a vendor is here at your fingertips. And you can see we've gone down into the extended purchase order invoice entry. And again, we have that Google search capability here as well. So these are the tools we've given you around accounts payable. The final tool here is a mail merge tool, where we're giving you the ability to use Microsoft Word mail merge capability with information that you have within Sage 300. So you can easily generate letters using this mail merge tool. Under the accounts receivable, similar to the extended vendors, we have the extended customer screen. And again, we're giving you that Google search capability, the ability to generate an email, go out to a website, Google map the address, and also store multiple contacts for your customers. And you also have the copy customer capability. So very similar to the extended vendor screen, just in your accounts receivable module around your customers. The extended customer inquiry screen, so again, when I mentioned the customer inquiry screen of Sage 300, so this is the same screen, except we've added in the Google search capability and the map capability, as well as generating an email or going out to a website. The extended ship to locations, so this will be the same screen you're familiar with in Sage 300, but we've added the Google search capability. With the Apply Documents tool, what we're giving you is a split screen here. And you can load this, you can select it by customer number, by document number, by national account, even by dates. We're giving you the ability to view outstanding payments, and I say payments with quotes around it because as you can see here, it could be a credit note, it could be a prepayment, it could be an actual payment, it could be a wire transfer. So loosely the term payments, but at the top part of the screen I'm seeing those payments. And at the bottom of the screen, I'm seeing outstanding documents. So this gives you an easy way to view by customer outstanding payment documents and outstanding invoice documents. And you can easily apply those within this screen. Under the Apply column, I could just simply say yes, and you can see a yes is now applied to that first invoice. So you can easily do your matching within this screen. And when you hit the process button, it's going to create a receipt batch for you in accounts receivable. So a very easy way for you to manage the applying of payments against documents. The mass billing tool within accounts receivable. What this tool does is if you need to bill the same thing to multiple customers, you can do that with this mass billing tool. So I always use school tuitions as an example. You're going to bill 1,000 students their tuition fee. So it's all the exact same invoice for each of those students. So all you would need to do with this tool is you can put in a batch description, an invoice description, a date, a due date, what the item is that you want to bill, the unit of measure, and the price. And you can select a range of customers by customer number, by billing cycle, by contact type. So you have a number of ways to bring in a list of customers. So I'll just say from customer 1100, and we'll just do a range of customers here. So let's just say May 31st, billing, and we can use the same thing as the description here. And choose an item number, which could be anything, and a dollar value. So when I load, you can see the amount here. So when I hit the process button, it's going to generate a new invoice for each of those customers in one go. Again, I have the ability under this include column to include or not include anybody within this list. And a lot of the tools will have a log button. That log button will generate a report for you, and it will show you exactly what took place during the processing. So an easy way to bill multiple customers the same invoice. And you also have the mail merge capability within accounts receivable. So if you wanted to generate a letter to your customers, you could do that using the mail merge tool. Under General Ledger, we have a number of these extended products. The extended products, again, are the products that give you the ability to copy information. So with the extended GL accounts, if you're adding a new GL account, maybe just one segment is going to be different, you can copy the account. So you can call up your range of accounts by account number, by structure code, by group code, by account class, or by cash flow type. And you can load a list of GL accounts into the bottom grid. And if in my example I just mentioned where you're adding a new GL account but you have multiple segments, so you just want to change one segment, rather than re-entering the GL code again, you can just copy it and use a segment substitution. So you can say change the division segment from 01 to 02, and when it does the copy, it'll change that segment for you. Or if you're running multiple companies in Sage 300, you could copy, sorry, I didn't put a segment substitution in. You could copy across companies. So you could enter one GL account in one company and copy it over to multiple companies. This is also useful if you're creating a new company in Sage 300 and you want to just copy the chart of accounts. You could use this extended GL accounts to copy the chart over to any target company or any group of target companies. And you can see if you're multi-currency, you can include multi-currency information as well in the copy. So you have this copy capability for not only the GL accounts, but also for your GL segment codes, for your GL account groups. You have the extended create new year. So again, if you have multiple companies in Sage 300, this would be the opening and closing, this would be creating your new year. The extended fiscal calendar would be the opening and closing of your periods. So you can copy that as well. I really love this accounting status tool. If you have more than one person involved in your month-end close, this accounting status tool will be quite helpful for you. This gives you a system-wide view of all your subledgers and any transactions that are outstanding that may need to be closed before you can run your month-end. And you can see some of these numbers have lines underneath them and they're colored. it means that there's additional information below this screen. So I could click on this 10 and I can see a list of the outstanding orders currently. Or I could see any open batches within the general ledger that maybe need to be reviewed and posted before you can do your month end. And I can also see down here in bank services there's some transactions that have yet to be posted. So this accounting status tool is going to give you a system-wide view of anything that remains outstanding that may need to be reviewed before you can do your month-end close. The set recurring dates, if you're using recurring dates, this will give you the ability to change the last run date. Pardon me, the last run date. So you can easily call everything into this screen, and then you can just change the last run date here and hit the process button, and it'll change that for you. I mentioned multi-company, so we'll move on to the user management in just one second. But I do always like to highlight the fact that for those people that are running multiple companies in Sage 300, we created a separate grouping for multi-companies. So this is the multi-company toolkit that will give you all of these extended products, your copy capability, across all modules of Sage 300. So you can see we have the GL ones, there's your customers and vendors. You have this capability for inventory items, so you can copy inventory items across companies. And similar to the segment substitution in the general ledger, you can do substitutions with the inventory items. So an example would be you need to set up the same item in 10 different colors. You can set that item once and then just substitute the color segment and copy everything else. You'll have that capability for locations as well as item pricing, IC segment codes, and your ship via codes. So these extended products, again, give you that capability to copy from one company to multiple other companies or to copy within the same company. So the last tool I want to highlight in the productivity toolkit is the user management tool. So I'm going to show you the single company tool that is available within the general ledger toolkit, and then I'm going to show you a full-blown user management tool that is sold separately that is quite helpful for multi-company environments. So with the SOX user management tool, it's a two-sided tool, really. On one hand, you get reporting capability, and on the other hand, you have a management tool. So if you've ever tried to figure out who has access to what features within Sage 300, you probably found that that's not an easy task to do. So that's where this tool came in to play. They developed this tool to give you an easy way to review the user's permissions within Sage 300. So you can filter this. You can pull a report for all users, a range of users, or any specific user. You can search all of the modules or a range of modules or any specific module. And you can specify whether you are only interested in users that are enabled or if you want to include disabled users on the report. So when you load this, it's going to list each of the applications, each of the modules. The middle column is the permissions within those modules. And across the top, you can see my users and whether or not they have access to that permission within the module. You could say if there's a permission within a module that no user has access to, just exclude that, drop it off the report. So you can call it into this screen and you can see it within this screen, but you can also save it as a report, and that will be saved as an Excel spreadsheet. So I have an example of that I've already saved. This user report for single company. So when I open that up, it's going to show me the company that the report was drawn against, what each module is. So there's our accounts payable module, the permissions within the module, and then a grid that will show me all of my users and what access they have within the module. So a really easy way for you to see by user the access that they have within Sage 300. So that's the one side of this tool. The other side of it is the management capability, where you can copy permissions. So you can copy from one user to another. So a new employee is starting. I want that employee to have the same access that Melanie has. So please just take everything that Melanie has and give the same access to the new user. So you can copy a user. You can also remove a user, or you can remove all users. And I've been mentioning the permissions within the module, these security permissions, but you effectively can copy everything. So you can say, take the desktop that that user has and copy, you know, their UI profiles, their customization directories, their printer settings, even their process flows. So a very easy way for you to onboard a new employee by copying an existing employee's permissions. So this is the single company tool that's available within the productivity tools general ledger tool set. But we also have a full-blown SOX user management tool that runs separately, that installs on your desktop. And it's a similar tool, but it has additional features in it. So on the permission report side, you can generate a report for one company or for multiple companies. If it's one company and you are running more than one, you actually have a drop-down list to choose which company. Or as I mentioned, you can just run it for all the companies that you have. And you can specify, again, all users, a range of users, or any specific user, and then the modules, whether it's all modules, a range, or a specific module. So you would load it the same way in the bottom grid, and you can save it into the Excel spreadsheet the same way we did with the single company toolkit. But if you're running this from more than one company, then it will look exactly the way I just showed you on that Excel sheet, but it will have a separate sheet for each of the companies. So you can easily discern the permissions that people have within each of the different companies. You have the user management capability. There's a few extra features here though. So I can copy from one user to another, or I can say Nancy has this access in company A. I want her to have the same access in company B, C, and D. So you can copy across companies or across users. Now the copy everyone refers to all of those desktop profiles, so not just the permissions, but copy the profiles, the printer settings, and so on. But we've also added some additional user reports here in the full-blown SOX user management tool. So you can report on user profiles, so you can see the administrative services screen, essentially, what their account type is, the language that's been set for them, what their authentication method is, whether their password will expire, and that sort of thing. You can also see anybody that's been locked out, anybody that's been disabled. You can see passwords that are about to expire. You can see the advanced security settings, whether they require a complex password, whether a user is going to be locked out. And you can also see commonly used passwords. So if someone's using the same password over and over again, or as in the case of this top line, the password is the same as the user ID, you can see any anomalies or any potential problems in terms of passwords. So those are the additional reports that we've added into the full-blown SOX user management tool.